because my dad promised me.
Interstellar has to be one of my all-time favorite films. Christopher Nolan was at the height of his career when he released this masterpiece. This movie, in my opinion, is in a class of its own, and no other space odyssey or sci-fi movie has even come close to this piece of brilliance. This piece of cinema is a perfect blend of creative storytelling with compelling character arcs tied in and out of this world, in theme and setting. I could go on and on about this film, but that's not what this video is about. Though, do let me know if y'all would like me to make a video about that. In this video, I will focus on our main character, Cooper. Me, like most of the people that watched the movie, remember Cooper as a cowboy space voyager who cried at the realization that he had missed out on watching his children grow up, and who travels across the galaxy towards a black hole before finally falling into one. If you like content like this, feel free to drop a like, and if you want to see more of this, do subscribe. Who is Cooper? Cooper is a pilot, well, an astronaut pilot. But with the world turning into a dust bowl and the governments across the world shutting down space exploration to focus on growing crops to feed the masses, the whole piloting gig isn't going well for him. Cooper rejects the idea that exploration and innovation caused humanity its downfall, and that humanity needs to
teach our kids about this planet, not tales of leaving it.
And you can see it on his face and in his eyes how strongly he feels about it. He still believes that the salvation of humanity will come from innovation. A simple tool as a life-saving MRI machine can save countless human lives, including the one of his wife. And this simple reasoning is how Nolan gets the audience to empathize and side with Cooper's chain of thinking, that we messed up when we stopped innovating and looking up at the stars. And while Cooper has accepted his duties as a farmer, a part of him doesn't ever want to stop innovating. He engineers and modifies his tractors so that the machines would do the job for him without the need of a human being present. Even with his new role of a farmer, he still finds a way, It's who he is. He's a dreamer. Despite his acceptance of his new role, you can still see him pushing against what the world has become. You can feel this fire when he speaks with his father-in-law.
It's like we've forgotten who we are, Tom. Explorers, pioneers, not caretakers.
He wants badly for things to go back to when humans engaged in engineering and innovation to solve their problems, including saving the world. However, there isn't much Cooper can do, since it's only him and his daughter that still have hope in a different future. That is until he stumbles upon NASA. For NASA, for a well-thought-out mission like this, where any simulator-trained pilot would suffice, Cooper's brilliance shines through when everything doesn't go according to plan.
Those aren't mountains. They're waves.
This is about all mankind. There is a moment.
Which, let's be honest, is quite often. Most of the astronauts selected for the mission were people who didn't have strong family ties. They were trained to put the mission above everything else. But Cooper, he had a very personal stake of going back home, which made him always think of time as a resource. And this way of thinking is what led to his idea of how they approach Miller's planet. The others wanted to head straight to the planet with a willingness to lose all that time, but not Cooper. And when the waves crashed, it was Cooper who got them out. Some of you might even say that Cooper was the one who led them to man's planet, where we got to see some brilliant villainy from Matt Damon. But I'd like to point out that if it was not for Cooper, they'd all be dead on Miller's planet before they even got to man's planet. The wave would have crushed them all, never to be heard from again. And this is exactly why a simulator pilot might have been acceptable, but only Cooper was the one perfect for the mission. Additionally, let's dive deeper into it. If Cooper wasn't a part of the mission, the astronauts would have not visited man's planet, not to be sabotaged by Dr. Mann himself, and they would have landed on Edmund's planet to live out their days and save humanity in the process. That is, of course, assuming the fact that the astronauts did not visit the first two planets and headed straight for Edmund's planet. But then again, if it was not for Cooper's decision to visit man's planet, he would not have had to make the sacrifice of falling into the black hole which led him to transmit the data from the singularity back home, saving the people back on Earth. The film's plot is so wrapped around Cooper and his decisions, making it impossible to negate the impact his choices had on the overall film, and not just the ending. Most movies have this thing where the protagonist is mostly a passive bystander who acts as a crutch for the audience to understand the world. They are usually there for the ride and things just happen to them for most of the movie, and they only rise to the occasion towards the end. But not Cooper. Nolan found a way to let Cooper be the audience's crutch as well as be the one who drives the plot forward. That is how you craft a good protagonist. Did Cooper make the right choice to leave behind his family? Again, we've all watched the movie, so we know things had to pan out the way they did. It's a loop for a reason. But the real question I want to address is, how difficult was this decision for Cooper? Moreover, was a part of Cooper being selfish? When NASA proposed Cooper the option of piloting the Endurance, he didn't just jump right into it. There was a sense of skepticism there, but it felt like it took very little to convince him. All Dr. Brand said was,
"The Coleman will die."
But in all seriousness, I think he truly understood the gravity of the situation when Brand said,
"The last people to starve will be the first to suffocate."
And that more or less convinced Cooper to fly out into deep space. Cooper loved his wife, and he loved his daughter, and I'm sure he liked his son too, for the most part. So he knew what it meant to leave them behind, not knowing whether or not he might return. He knew, and yet he made that choice. I suppose he had to. It was either to go out there and find salvation for humanity or stay back and hope for the best. Remember, he didn't know Dr. Brand lied and didn't care much for Plan A, so he had no reason to suspect the mission would fail. But as I mentioned earlier, Cooper is an engineer, a pilot, and an explorer at heart. A part of him couldn't resist this opportunity. Now comes the question, was a part of his decision laced with selfishness? Because Cooper was unhappy with his life on Earth. He didn't complain about it, but he was unhappy, and if Cooper was truly a family man, then knowing that the simulator pilot could manage should have been reason enough for him to stay with his family and spend quality time with them. Again, I don't think it's that simple. There is a line that Cooper utters to Dr. Brand when they are stuck on Miller's planet.
When you become a parent, one thing becomes really clear. And that's that you want to make sure your children feel safe.
And I think that is the reason why he took on that mission. You want to see your children do better than you, even if eventually we're all going to perish. Even though we know we are going to die someday, it does not stop us from living our lives every single day, no matter whether we are depressed and or nihilistic about our existence in the world. That is the true resilience of the human spirit. Not this bullcrap man tries to pull off.
If I just pressed that button and somebody would come and save me.
You fucking coward.
And that is what Cooper represents in this film. Cooper is a distilled representation of human resilience, a hope that always pushes us to survive. Cooper symbolizes us in the film. He's a parent we all want. He's the undying will to live. He's the personification of optimism and passion. He's the best of humanity. He leaves his family behind in order to take on an impossible mission. He is confident that he will make it back because he has to. We also see this decision weigh down on Cooper, not only when he is leaving for the mission, but throughout the whole movie. His will to live is what keeps him alive throughout his struggles. His will to survive is what keeps him from dying on man's planet, because he cannot afford to give up. He has a purpose, and that is to find the solution in order to save the Earth and reunite with Murph. He cannot rest until he fulfills the promise he made to his child. Everyone around him is almost always pessimistic. They have given up. The teachers, his father-in-law, even the astronauts he travels with. They have no faith that Earth can be saved, but not Cooper. He believes that he can find the solution because he has to. There is no other way. Despite my long rant about Cooper's love for innovation, his primary motive throughout the film is to be a good father. In the first half of the movie, you see him trying to find a solution to give his children a future. When he finds out about time dilation, that is the most heartbreaking thing for him because of how much time he's losing whilst his children are growing old without him. So let me ask you this question again. Who is Cooper? He's a pilot, he's an engineer, he's an explorer, and he might even qualify as a farmer. But most of all, he's a father. I'm Chris, and thank you for watching this video.
You told him I like farming.